Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this very first Uckfield Business Podcast. With me, Ian Noble, Chamber Director for Uckfield, your host this afternoon. And with me, joining me on the show, we have Claire Allen from Team 4 Solutions. It says Team 4 Bookkeeping there, but I know you as Team 4 Solutions. Good afternoon, Claire. How are you?
Good afternoon, Ian. Thanks so much. Yes, well, this is very exciting, isn't it? Our first ever podcast for the Chamber. So I'm Claire Allen, as you said, Team 4 Bookkeeping or Team 4 Solutions, whatever you know us as, but also Treasurer of the Chamber as well and on the Exec Committee. So I'm here helping you host.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Claire. And I believe this was your idea, wasn't it? So we got you to blame for this.
So rumour has it, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Brilliant. Good stuff. And also joining us, we have El Presidente of the Chamber, Gary King. Good afternoon, Gary.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ian. Good afternoon, Claire. Great. This is great. First time we've ever done this. So
I know. Yeah.
Let's hope we can continue and it'll be a great success going forward.
Yeah, and very different to radio because people can actually see you, which on radio they can't.
Which, of course, I have the perfect face for radio. So there you go.
You said it, not me, mate, but there we are.
Indeed,
you have the perfect face for podcasting. So there we go. And also joining us this afternoon is our special guest, Tim Rylatt from UK Growth Coach. Hello, Tim. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thanks, Dave.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us, Tim. We're going to come to you in a little bit, if we may. So Thank you to everyone for joining us live today, or thank you for catching up if you're listening later on. We do have a live chat. We've got a couple of Facebook users on. I'm not sure how we get people's names up. Maybe that's a little trick that we need to work on with our producer guy, Gordon. We have Gordon Manklow from Relativity Limited producing in the background. So thank you, Gordon, so much for doing that for us. And if you fancy helping us out here with some production in the background, then please let us know because we do want some support for Gordon in that particular role. So we've got some live chat going on, I think, in the Facebook. So do comment, add your name in there, ask questions, tell us what you think of the pod and what subjects you'd like to see covered going forward on future meetings. We'll repeat these dates going forward, but the next two dates that we have scheduled for this are the 22nd of June and the 20th of July. So the idea is that we're going to do this monthly on a Thursday lunchtime while you're munching your lunch in the office or wherever you are, and you can tune in for just 45 minutes to get all the latest from the Uckfield business world. Now, Claire, as I said at the top of the show, this was your idea, so we're very grateful to you for that. What's the idea behind the pod and who's it for? You know, why are we doing this, if you like?
Well, okay. So as a chamber, our reason for being is to connect with local businesses and, to support local businesses. We already have various events that we run through the chamber, but this is just another thing in our toolkit, if you like, that we can bring to local business people. So this is different in respect of we are actually focusing on business here, not just general local news. So it'll be local business news. We'll be looking at we're talking to local business owners, hearing their stories, doing interviews, understanding what their challenges and wins are. We'll have all sorts of different topics in terms of running businesses. So we'll have specialists like Tim joining us to come and talk about all sorts of different areas of running a business. So yeah, we really want this to be totally interactive. We want to hear from the audience. We want to hear from local business owners, what their problems are or what they can do to support each other and so on. So this is it's quite wide ranging, but it's going to be a monthly event. So there's so much we could talk about, I'm sure. I can see lots of Facebook users commenting here, but it'd be lovely to know who you all are. So in the comments, maybe you could just let us know who you are, who your business is, what you do. It'd be great to get to know you.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, I was going to say that. I think there must be a setting where the Facebook account comes up automatically rather than just Facebook user. As this is our first show, clearly there are going to be some teething problems. But I'd echo that from what Claire just said, that if you are watching, then do say in your comment who you are and your business name. That would be really good to know that you're with us and we're not just talking to ourselves for the next 40 minutes or so, which was a bit of a worry and a concern. But you're right, Claire. We're doing this to support local businesses and add value. I think it's really important to say that. And to provide this additional platform to showcase local businesses, tell their stories and to share information on chamber events coming up. And we'll have some more of that later. We're going to come straight to Tim now. Normally we say the best till last, but we're going to come to you first, Tim, if we may, because we know you've got a very busy day and you've got to get away from us to get to another meeting for 2:00 this afternoon. So first of all, let's find out a little bit about you, if we may. Tell us about your early career. Have you always been a business coach, or did you do something else first?
No, I had actually quite an interesting path into it. I did a degree in geology, decided I didn't really like that enough to have a career in it. Strangely enough, my housemate applied to become a police officer. 2 application forms arrived. I filled in the second one on the spur of the moment, and that became a 10-year career for me between 2 different police forces. I worked initially in Brighton, so 6 years on the front line, mixture of on foot and in cars, and then transferred across to the States of Guernsey, became a training officer, taught law and procedure over there. I helped them design their induction training for brand new police constables for their first couple of years, and helped them design their recruitment process and run that. So in a strange way, that was quite business-like. I was running recruitment, team development, leadership and management, plus training, had big budgets I was kind of looking after as well for it. And it was like a business inside a police force. And then I switched careers a bit later on as a result of a knee injury. That was kind of how it progressed on.
Okay.
So
Sorry, just intrigued to understand the jump from police force to running a business is quite a big jump. But I guess you've just already sort of alluded to the fact that you were working in the training and development area, and maybe that was an easy transition. I don't know. It's quite a big jump to me, but.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when I came back, I moved obviously back from Guernsey to England, and I guess unlike most businesses, when you leave the police force, it's not like you jump into another police force. If you're leaving, if you're changing career, it is a total change of career and a completely fresh start. So I was looking at the skills that I had, communication, investigation, I guess report writing, understanding numbers, recruitment, all those things, and I looked at where I could use those skills in another way. And what initially I found was, I started looking for jobs, and I found that really the recruitment world didn't recognize or appreciate actually the level of training or skill that I'd had during that prior 10 years. I had quite a lot of responsibility in my prior role. And they basically said, well, the police qualifications, because they're not external, don't really count for anything. You have to go back to the beginning. I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. So I had a look at my alternates. I thought, well, if I'm not going to win a job elsewhere, what I'll do is actually run my own company. And the most obvious way of doing that was to take a look at a franchise, because that's a structure for a business that's already been proven. And I thought, well, if I'm going to learn how to run a business, why not learn how to run a business that actually is about running businesses? So that was how I came across business coaching. I thought my training and coaching skills could easily be transferred to learn the business bit. So I actually bought a franchise, and I ran a franchise for about 10 years successfully. I then sold that on the end of it. As happens with franchises, I had a non-compete for a year, during which I partnered into 2 other companies. They're the digital marketing companies I'm still a director in now. And then latterly reformed my own company. And as it happens, actually have created a franchise of my coaching business now as well. So that's kind of the journey to date.
You segued seamlessly then from the police into business coaching.
Yes.
By the sound of it. Yeah,
it works okay. See, strangely, most people who go into business coaching, they've got a lot of business experience, but not actually very much in the world of coaching. I had loads of coaching experience because I've been training and coaching police officers, and it was the business side that I needed to learn. But I guess the advantage was I knew that I didn't know it. One of the things I've found over the years with coaches is people who have a corporate background often assume that the knowledge they have is sufficient for being a coach. And the truth is, often there are gaps that they need to plug, but they struggle perhaps to acknowledge that and go back and do the learning that's necessary. So I often felt one of the strongest things I had going for me was the fact that I knew I was ignorant on the front end. So I learned at a faster rate than most around me.
Brilliant. And I suppose the world of sport is a good example of that. I'm just going to use a personal example now. We all know that Patrick Vieira was a very good footballer, in fact, one of the very best. But he didn't exactly make the best coach at Crystal Palace, did he? Because he got sacked after 18 months. So there we are. Okay, so let's get down to the bit that matters to our viewers today, Tim. Great to hear about your background and how you got into coaching. But you coach many business owners. What are the common pitfalls that trip people up on their business journey. Can you sort of paint a picture for us as to how people can overcome some of these issues that they come up against?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the image you can see on the screen there is that it's actually the cover for a book that I wrote on the subject, but it basically covers the journey that business owners go on. And it might not happen necessarily in this order for every business, but they are the common headaches that business owners come across. So most businesses are started at one stage or another, and that maze of how is this going to work is actually a really big question. Most people that start a business are very good at their industry or a job within it. They might be a very highly skilled accountant or plumber or lawyer or whatever their technical skill set is. They've been trained for years how to do that job and are very good at it. But at the same time, they haven't been taught what it takes to make a business successful there, whether it's the marketing or the financials or the sales or the systems or the leadership or the management or the systems, anything that actually is required to make the business run. And the startup maze is saying, well, what am I offering? Who am I offering it to? Why will they want it? What's the need? What do I solve for them? Is it valuable? How do I price it? All that stuff. There's so many things that go into it, even down to, should it be a limited company, partnership, sole trader? Where does my bank account get made? There's loads of stuff that goes into it, and navigating that maze and actually getting launched successfully and quickly is a challenge. I often say that I come across startup businesses sometimes that are 20 years old because they haven't solved some of those problems. They're still technically good at their job, and they might be busy with clients, but they still haven't mastered the marketing or the recruitment or any of those elements. So the skill set of business owners is different to the skill set of job holders. And I think that's an important distinction to identify as early as you can, just acknowledge it. And as you go on your journey, you'll see in the diagram, once you get up and running, often there's a bit of a challenge in terms of cash flow. Sometimes because you don't have enough clients on the front end or you're undercapitalized. So you're having to make decisions between what's actually the right thing to do and what can you afford to do. Simple examples of this would be choosing to make your own website if you're not actually skilled at it. On the surface, that looks like a cost saving, but actually in terms of business strategy, it's quite often a poor decision, because if it's not found and it doesn't work and it's difficult to use and it doesn't load and it gets hacked and all the rest of it, there's a problem. And the same is true for loads of other things, supplier relationships, terms and conditions, all of that kind of stuff can cause you problems in terms of cash flow, and not just at the start of your business, but actually throughout the journey. And something I just wanted to flag for today is actually cash flow isn't just a startup problem. Actually, cash flow is often experienced worst for rapidly growing companies who don't understand the cycles of money in their business. That can be really problem. You can sink a company by growing it fast as easily as you can by struggling to get enough clients in the first place.
Over trading, you'd call that, would you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and I think it's just, pushing yourself past what you can actually manage. And things like cash flow forecasters and planning. I'm sure Claire in the bookkeeping world will be all over that like a rash. I'm sure she knows.
You concur with that, Ian, Tim. It's just, it's the biggest killer of businesses. And like you say, it's not necessarily at the startup stage. It's the growth stage. That's where the cash flow and the input in cash needs to be, and really closely monitored as well, and projecting and looking forward and so on. So yeah, really, really important issue.
So I mean, other areas you got marketing and sales, fairly obvious. Can you attract the right type of clients in the highest volume? Can you actually convert them from interest through to order? There are lots of things that go into marketing. Just at a very top level, in my view, there are three main thrusts that marketing need to cover. There's what I call primary marketing, which is everything you do to win a brand new customer that you haven't dealt with before. There's secondary marketing, everything you do to communicate with your existing client base for repeat and indeed new opportunities for them throughout their lifetime. And there's tertiary marketing, which is how you get the story told and propagated about your prior good work for others, whether that's referencing, referrals, ratings, and also using introducers who may not have used your service but actually understand that you're good at what you do. That can be useful as well. If you split your marketing strategy around those three thrusts and balance them, it's much more effective than just thinking of marketing as lead generation. It's a different thing. Sales, very much for me, is all about helping people to buy. It's not talking out or throwing information at. It's asking the questions to uncover the needs and then matching up your solution as best you can. If you're not the right fit, it's also choosing not to serve that client. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of early year businesses make, is they take on the wrong clients and then they end up with a pattern of clients that actually isn't good for them, damages reputation, or indeed they can't retain them. So working out how to serve them best and making sure you are a good fit is important. As you grow the company, you then often will step into the realms of needing additional hands at the pumps, whether that's operationally or an admin or someone to help it internally in the bookkeeping function or whatever it ends up being. There are resources that you need to grow in terms of human. And the sea of staffing there, you'll see on the map that a bit like one of the ancient maps, it says here be monsters. And the truth is that when I speak with growing companies, a really substantial part of frustration is that either they haven't got the right people, or the people that are there are unmotivated, have lost their will to live, or overmanaged, or there are any frustrations where the engagement level is just poor, or the skill level isn't right, or the management of those people to actually enable them hasn't been put in place. Even things like not actually having a proper induction process, or ongoing training. You expect these people to get better every year, and every year for sure they're going to come and ask you for more money. But if they're performing the same because you haven't helped them develop and they're just costing you more every year, well, guess what's happening to your margin at the same time? It's not great in that way. So understanding how to attract them, induct them, help them get up to performance level, progress them, and also importantly show them the path for the future so they want to stay, because replacing them is very expensive. That's important in staffing. You've then got systems. So as a business, if you want greater efficiency and you want it ultimately to remove reliance upon you, then systemizing the company is really important. Certainly for me, creating a franchise has given me a new appreciation on the amount of effort that goes into actually systemizing a company overall. Trying to download 15 years of learning and methodology was a serious undertaking for me last year. And I think I've become a lot better at it as a result of that. But the key thing about systems is making it consistent, making it reusable, and making it transferable. One of the big things for me, and the top tip on this, is make sure that the systems you have, the steps within there that are undertaken by people, are actually accountable to the roles in your organizational chart. Often you have a set of people over on one hand and a set of systems over here, and they're disconnected. So you end up with a person who's not following the system, but in the system, it doesn't say it should be them that's doing it. So the performance management is disconnected. And that's a really important connection to make. Obviously, the objective of all of this is to get you to the profit treasure on the far end. And all the time you want to be working in or as part of your business, that's the primary objective. And almost all business owners that I speak with are saying, okay, I want to make more profit. I'm keen on making more. Great, that's fine. I've never yet found anyone that tells me they want to make less profit. But the second point in here is actually that little bit on the top left where it says the kind of the secret exit paths. For me, I think it's a great idea, not just to focus on the profit, but also to focus on how it can produce profit when you're not there. Whether that's passive income or whether it's creating the business to be an asset that's highly saleable and valuable, the earlier you get in your mind that if the business can run without you, it doesn't mean it has to. You can still choose to be involved, but freedom exists there. Freedom in terms of time, freedom in terms of money. That's actually where the focus should be. And that divergence of everyone focusing on the money all of the time is, in my view, why a lot of people who perhaps hit their mid-50s, early 60s are highly stressed, because they're trying to do the asset building part of business within 5 years, where actually they've had 30 years before if they just got on with it. And I think the understanding of that goal is really important to clarify. It's not just growth. After that, there are more steps too.
Really interesting stuff, Tim. I guess you could talk for a lot longer about all this kind of stuff and delve down deeper into each one of these particular hazards of the business owner's journey. Alas, we haven't got time for that this afternoon. Claire, I know you've been listening. As a business owner, some of that must resonate with you. So which particular bit is the most challenging for Team 4, do you think, Claire?
Well, I resonate with every single step of that way at the moment. I'm obviously, I'm at a stage where I've been in business now for 20 years. I've built the team. I've got 23 members of my team now. But that actually generally is my challenge now with, I guess, the team itself, is keeping them engaged, making sure they're continually developing. We have a strategy for doing that, and that's great, but it's you have to constantly be on that and looking at the options. We particularly like bringing on youngsters, trainees that we can actually bring on and actually train them in our ways of doing things, and they are so much more engaged. And of course, bringing young minds into the business is so refreshing for us oldies who are at the other end of our career. It's that's a big change to the way we work and develop, but also for me personally, it's looking at that end game for me now. That's, I've got to that age that you mentioned, Tim. Thank you very much for that. Just 30, yes, I know. It's been a hard life. So yes, I am looking at that. Well, maybe not exit plan, but yes, the sort of the less involved aspect of running my business, so that I can actually enjoy the freedom of what I've built. So I totally get every step of that way. And of course, I also work with business owners, startups, mid-business, all sorts of a wide range of businesses, and we are working with a lot of these issues with them as well. So totally recognise every step of that way.
More time on the yacht, Claire, is what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, well, that's the goal. That's the end goal. Yeah.
It's really good that we've got Bex Manny with us today. We have Tressler Coachworks. We have Martin from Chestnut Tree House. And welcome, guys. Thanks for saying hi in the chat. If you're watching this and you haven't put anything in the chat yet, tell us who you are, where you're from, so we can just give you a little shout out. So thank you. So Tim, as businesses negotiate these hazards, so to speak, and hopefully overcome them on their journey, can you give us an insight into the stages of growth? Alan Sugar must have started somewhere, surely. Talk to us a little bit about this.
The diagram you can just see on the left of the screen there basically shows the different phases of growth. And what I've done, just for those that want to do a bit more reading around this, is I've matched the phases of growth in a business with Robert Kiyosaki's wealth building model. So what you can see in there is how people build wealth, but also how it relates to the steps of a business owner's journey as well. So the stages that you got on the bottom left, you've got startup. And what that basically is you've got an idea or a set of ideas on what you want to be doing, who you want to be serving, why it might be valuable, how you might attract customers, how you might convert them, how you're going to bill them. Everything about your business is kind of first time round, trying to work it out and get the reason out of interest I picked the icon of a paper plane there is, as children, I suspect if you're anything like me, at some point your parents got bored of you and decided to give you a ream of paper and tell you to go and make some paper aeroplanes for a couple of hours. And when you did that, you built many different types of aeroplane. You would refold the paper and refold it until you actually found one that flew a bit better, a bit longer, a bit higher, whatever it was you were trying to do. And that's what it's like to be at startup phase. Constant redevelopment, constant refinement to get it working. And whilst a paper airplane will fly, it's by no means the most refined type of aerodynamics that's possible. So that gets you as far as basically functional, where it flies, it works okay. You've got a method of marketing, a way of selling, a way of operating, a way of managing the finance, a way of generating some consistent profit and an income. But it probably isn't giving you much more wealth than the job you might have working for somebody else. And it might well be costing you many more hours or a lot more stress than actually working for someone else. And so the next phase is to take it from basically functional up to growing and scaling. For me, growth is about improving the metrics, but scaling is actually about changing the way in which the company operates efficiency wise. So actually, less effort in, more output coming out, whether that's technology or systems or learning or training. There's lots of different ways in which you can achieve that. And certainly when you're looking at marketing and selling and operations, there's loads of things you can do within there to gain efficiencies. Now, the point about scaling is that it should not be limited by you as the business owner if it's scaling. In other words, it doesn't increase your hours to achieve the next stage of scaling up. And once you're at that point, you actually are making money typically from the team members that are also billable, or the second operation you've got, or the fifth website, email, e-commerce site you've got. It's producing quite a lot of money, more than you would earn in a job. And the hours are often the same as a job, could still be a bit longer than a job, but you're still heavily involved. The business is still reliant upon you. The difference between that and what we call owner independence level is exactly what it says on the tin. When you get to owner independence, we've built a leadership and a management structure behind that can operate when you aren't there as the shareholder. Now, what that means is there is possibly a general manager, maybe a set of directors with accountability for the different departments. People are running the jobs without needing you. People are selling to customers without needing you. You can choose your level of involvement at the ultimate zenith of independence. They're choosing to call in on Monday, not come in for a year, and it continues to work. Your contribution is simply gravy on top rather than requirement. The final step is what I termed as exit, but from my perspective, really exit ready. I'm not a business broker, so I don't per se sell businesses, but what I can do is help them identify what the valuation criteria are for their industry, and I can help them change up the levers so that actually their business becomes more valuable, and importantly is presented as a positive asset to any investor that wants to buy it. The alternate path to that is if you're doing something like a management buyout, or you're handing it over to let's say your children in a family succession model or something like that, is enabling actually the path of handover. Often business owners at that point really struggle to let go of something they've been in command of for 30 years. And it's that transition, the cultural handover, the empowerment of the next people taking over, whether that's someone buying it or whether it is somebody simply succeeding it, that can be a very thorny issue. So that's another area that I work with clients on. And so those phases: startup, basically functional, growing and scaling, owner independent, and then exit ready. They're kind of the 5 phases. And the important thing is they're all obviously progressive, but it's the way you think at each stage that matters. So startup, it's how the hell do I make this work? Basically functional, it's okay, it works, but how do I make it work better? Growing and scaling, it's how do I do that with greatest efficiency? Owner independence, how can it work when I'm not here for the long term? And at exit ready, how can I demonstrate the value of that asset to somebody that's going to buy it? They're different mindsets, not just different phases, and you have to think differently to achieve those steps. I hope that summarizes it well enough, shortly enough.
Brilliant, Tim. Thank you so much. Claire, again, are you able to share where you are on this little mountain here? You know, whereabouts are you? You're muted, Claire, that old chestnut.
Sorry, there was a bit of background noise here. Yeah, most days I feel like I'm still at the startup stage, if I'm truly honest. But the reality is, I am really at the growing and scaling stage. I guess I'm building my team so that it's enabling me not to have to be in the business every day. You know, and that enables the scaling. The systems are coming in place to allow that to happen. And I'm looking for my independence. Really, yeah, that's exactly where I'm heading. So on the way.
Very good, very good. And you threw in a word there, a thorny issue. There was a little pun there, but not intended. Our original guest on this show, of course, was going to be Chris Dawn, that we put out to the chamber members. And thanks for stepping in, Tim. But Chris will probably relate to this, and he's more at the top, I think, you know, with his 3rd generation family business. And more about him a little bit later on in the show. Okay. Claire, you were going to just ask Tim one more question, I think.
Yeah, so in fact, I have one of your books, Tim. I know that you've written some books, 3 books, in fact, I'm led to believe. I have one of them and read it, The Business Battleships. I think that was probably your first book, is that right?
It was, yeah. That's 2012, that one.
Yeah, so you're now a published author of many times over. So yeah, tell us about the publications you've written.
Yeah, sure. So Business Battleships, I wrote back in 2012, and being brutally honest, I wrote it because at the time I realized I didn't know, I said I'd learned at a great rate. I thought one of the quotes I've always loved is by a chap called Joseph Joubert, which is to teach is to learn twice. And I've always felt that when you have to learn something well enough to train somebody else on it, you have to learn it at a higher level than to just do it. So I thought, how am I going to learn sales at a better level? I thought I'll write a book on it. So I did all the research and dug around, and that one's all about why do people buy, why they engage with marketing or salespeople or not, as the case may be. in 2019, I partnered into a digital marketing agency with a chap called Henry Laker. We wrote a book called Growing by Design, and that one is about matching up, I guess, the business coaching mindset with a marketer's mindset. Henry has 25 odd years running marketing companies, and I had at that point about 10 years working as a business coach. And what we realized was that there were two different ways in which marketing plans were being developed. There was the way a marketer would do it and the way a business coach would do it. And so what we did was we put the two things together and drew what we feel is the best of both worlds across. So we created a model called the Common 10, which looks at 10 different marketing objectives that are specific to SMEs. So our marketing model is specific to SMEs, and that is different. Most of the marketing models you see were designed for bigger corporate businesses, why they talk a lot more about brand building than we do. We are much more about the direct marketing and how to engage and get quick wins for smaller businesses that can't wait 2 years for a result to arrive. And the third book, you've actually seen the cover of already. That the diagram showing the journey is actually the cover of our third book called The Missing Business Instructions. And we wrote that purely from a business coaching perspective, because as far as I'm aware, very few business owners get the instruction manual. It just got lost in the post somewhere. It didn't arrive. And yet they have gaps in their knowledge, things that they would benefit from knowing. So we thought we'd write down as much of that as we could and try and put it in their hands at a higher scale than we'll ever be able to deliver in person. So that was what that one was about.
Fantastic. Can't wait to read the others now.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. So if people want to know more, Tim, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I've got obviously an office number, 01444 440 500. You can email me direct at tim@growthcoach.co.uk, or if you fancy booking a one-to-one or even a business review, if you visit Calendly, the online booking system, it's calendly.com/Tim Rylatt, my name, and that will bring up various options. You can pick one to suit, from everything from a basic chat through to a more formal review, however you feel like engaging.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you at the Uckfield Chamber events as well, of course, because you're a member, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll definitely be at those as often as I can. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was going to say, or they could just look for you on the Uckfield Chamber website under.
They can certainly do that
under UK Growth Coach, and they'll find you there. Good stuff. Listen, Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. We know you're going to rush off to another meeting. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. So thank you, Tim, for joining us. Thank you, mate.
No problem.
Thanks,
See you
Tim.
again.
That was great.
Right, Tim's gone. He's rushed off now to another meeting, which brings us on to the final part of the show. Thank you to Downland's Architectural Design and Surveying, Ashley, for joining us. Good to see you, mate, online, and any others on there. If you're watching, then do say hello in the chat. We'd love to know that you're watching us. So, Gary, let's bring you in here. Uckfield, in the last couple of decades, has had a festival. Sadly, that's no longer happening this summer, but the Business Expo has been part of that festival. But we are going to carry on with the expo, aren't we? So you're the main man behind this. Tell us all about it, Gary, please. If you
so yeah, going back, I mean, the radio station. We launched a radio station 20 years ago as a temporary station for the Uckfield Festival back in 2003. The radio station went full time in 2010. We became Ashdown Radio in April last year. But the Business Expo we've been running since about 2014, 2015. Again, as you say, it was to coincide with the festival. It was a festival event, and as you say, it's a shame that we haven't got the festival this year. But it's a day of networking. It's a chance for businesses to showcase themselves in the room. We hold it at the Civic Centre, straight in the middle of Uckfield, and it's on from 10 till 3. Usually it's always in the wheeled hall, and if we've got enough space, we'll spread it across into the Ashdown room next door as well. And as I say, it's a day of total networking. There aren't seminars, etc., going on, so everyone who's got a stand doesn't suddenly have the audience disappear from the room. They can keep the audience in the room all the time and just get talking and making new contacts. And that's the thing. We've been doing it since 2014-15. Obviously 2020, 2021, we didn't hold it because of COVID. So it was great to hold it again last year, last July. There's always some regular exhibitors who always come along. Uckfield Volunteer Centre, Dawson Hart, Buxted Park Hotel, East Sussex National, we usually see them on a regular basis. But there's always some new faces and also new businesses as well. And it's not just from Uckfield. They come from other parts of East Sussex as well. So it's a great showcase.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gary. I think I did rather well on signing up some new members last year, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
I think PS Tech joined us as a result of that last year.
And they're coming again this year to the Expo.
And Hypnotherapy with Heather, I think she joined us.
Yeah.
Heather.
She's coming as well.
Yeah, she's out of town, but fancy a bit of that. She's going to be there. So I agree with you. I think it's just such a great day of just meeting each other, business owners meeting each other. And, hopefully we can see some footfall from the high street this year as well, because that hasn't been the best. I'm not selling it very well there, but, it's sometimes a struggle to get people off the high street in, isn't it?
I mean, obviously we've held it as a festival event in the past to allow the public to come in. But more importantly, we want business people, not necessarily if they don't wish to exhibit, that's not a problem, but we want businesses to come in and network with the businesses who have got a stand. And maybe in a future year, they might decide, yes, I'd like to exhibit at a future expo. But as I say, it's a great day. And the other thing we're doing this year, which we've not done before, and we trialled this a few weeks ago, Crowborough Chamber had their expo at the Crowborough Community Centre. We actually broadcast the whole of our morning show live from the Crowborough Chamber, and we'll be doing that again as well on the 6th of July, 10 till 1. My colleague Peter Suter will be presenting the show, and he'll be like he did at Crowborough. He'll be able to go around and talk to some of the exhibitors attending, have a chance to sort of find out more about their business and what they're doing at the expo, what they've got new coming up, etc. So those who are exhibiting, they'll have a chance to have a chat on the radio live from the expo itself on the day.
So you've got to be exhibiting though to be on the radio, is that right?
Oh, ideally, yes. Yeah. I mean, we'll have a schedule sorted out of the exhibitors of coming along. You never know, Peter might sort of drag someone up who's wandering around. But the plan is to have a chat with some of the exhibitors who are there on the day, and we have got spaces still available, limited spaces though for the main wheeled hall, because obviously everyone wants to be in the big room which hold about 30 people, and then there'll be about 10 exhibiting spaces probably in the Ashdown. So
if I'm listening to this live or watching it back in a day or two, and I'd like to be involved in the expo and like my business to be exhibiting that day, what do I need to do?
Okay, two things you can do. Drop me an email, sales@ashdownradio.com, or just go to the Ashdown Radio website. On the front page, scroll down a bit, and you'll see a little button, or big button actually, with the team from the East Sussex National from last year. Click on that, and it will take you through to a page. It will give you details about who else is exhibiting at the expo, but also a form you can complete online. That will come to me, and I can send you out an exhibition booking form. The cost is just £90 plus VAT to have a stand. That's 90, all it is.
Is that all?
That is all it is. £90.
My life. That's a bargain, isn't it?
Well, this is the other thing. It's a fundraising event for the radio station, because we are a team of volunteers. We're one of about 300 community radio stations, local radio stations up and down the country, and we're all providing a local radio service. And we have to be funded by more than just your normal advertising and sponsorship. So we have to hold fundraising events. And for the last 7-8 years, this has been one of our main fundraising events. So we don't charge hundreds of pounds. It's £90 plus VAT for a stand, and it's a great day. Great day out.
Good stuff.
Gary, have you got any top tips for a new exhibitor? I'm sure it's quite a daunting prospect for anybody doing this for the first time, or even those that perhaps are sitting on the fence at the moment wondering whether they should. Have you got any top tips to make a really good exhibition stand and have a good day?
Yeah, I mean, the top tip is to have merchandise produced. I mean, don't just come with a table and a cover for your table and that's it. Obviously, come prepared with a pull-up banner. You've got to have your image, your logo on show for the day. And everyone has a pull-up. Well, most people have pull-up banners, and they bring along. I mean, some people come along with creative big screens and things like that on their stand. But have your literature around, plenty of business cards as well, because you'll be spending your day putting your business cards into competition draws, maybe to win a bottle of Prosecco. Various things, various stand holders come along with some prizes. So yeah, if you're going to exhibit, make sure you've got up-to-date literature, leaflets, your business cards, things you can give to people who've got information about you and your business.
Plenty of swag, basically.
Sorry,
come along as well, not just by yourself. If you've got a team of people, maybe take it in turns. I know the guys at Dawson Hart in the past they've across the 5 hours, they've come in groups of 2 or 3 at a time, and then others have gone and others have then come over and taken their place. So they've had a chance then to have a wander around, and yeah, you're not then stuck on your own stand all the time. You've got a chance to have a wander around.
Good, thank you, Gary. And I would say also, I'd add into that, don't be too salesy on your stand.
No, exactly.
Don't get into sales mode straight away. Talk to people, listen to them as they're coming to ask you questions about your business. And yeah, so it should be a great day. Claire, you're going to be there wandering about, I believe. Is that right?
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely be there. No, there are great events having these expos, especially when it's a local event. It's really nice to see all the local businesses there. So yeah, great.
And we are the only one who's holding an expo in Uckfield. So yeah, 6th of July, 10 till 3 at the Uckfield Civic Centre. Space is limited availability now, but just drop me an email, sales@ashdownradio.com. Go to the website, and we'll get all your details on the website to say that you're coming along to the Uckfield Expo in July.
Good. Claire.
Fantastic. So, Ian, what else is going on in Chamber World then? Hey,
There we go.
Have we got any news to any events coming up that we need to let the world know about?
Seamless, absolutely. We've got a few events coming up. This time next week, we'll be preparing for what I've called the late spring members meeting. It's on Thursday, the 25th of May, and we're holding this at the Vega Controls head office on the Ashdown Business Park in Maresfield. There's their brilliant spanking new building. It's a lovely space. We have over 40 people booked in for this event already. I'm hoping for quite a few more. This is for chamber members only, however. So if you're watching this and you're not a member, you can join, of course. We'll talk about that as well a little bit in a little while. But that's next Thursday, and booking is open for that from our website now. Following on from that one, we have our next chamber networking breakfast. This is open to any business. And this picture you can see here is Spithurst Hub in Barkham. And it's a beautiful rural setting and owned by a lovely lady called Maria. And she's from Sweden. And so we're going to have a traditional Swedish breakfast, which is very different. That's Friday, the 9th of June. And then if we roll on a bit, we have our next virtual networking meeting. This isn't now until July. We're going to miss it out in June because we've got the breakfast quite early on in June that I've just mentioned. Now, we're going to carry on with these. They're between 9 and 10 on a Wednesday morning. They're on Zoom, and everyone gets a chance to present their business. So that's on Wednesday, the 5th of July. And on that day, we have Kat Jenner from Wealdon District Council coming to speak to us about the Wealdon Lottery, which I think is quite an interesting subject, which I think more people need to know about. And then finally, hopefully, if we've done this right, we've got the meeting after that. Have we got that? Yeah, here we go. The Summers members meeting. This is for members only. This is Bluebell Vineyard. We go there every year, and booking for this one will be open soon. So note the date for that one in your diary, Thursday, the 13th of July.
Oh, brilliant events, Ian. I love the variety that we have.
Well, we do our best, Claire, don't we? We really do our best.
Another one, isn't it? The podcast as well. So it's another thing to add to that.
Yeah, we've got the podcast that we're on now. We've got the online networking. We've got the breakfast networking in the mornings, and we've got the evening members meetings.
Oh, it's great because Uckfield has a fantastic business community. I always think there's loads of businesses here, and a very lively and thriving lot of activity goes on. So it's great.
Indeed. So I haven't even spoken about the speakers for these events, but all the information is on the Chamber website. We haven't got time now to go into any more detail, but I promise you each of these meetings will be a great meeting. So do join us if you can. Now, I just want to talk about one other meeting that is coming up next week. Now, this is the Skills Summit organised by Skills East Sussex. Skills East Sussex is a board that is driven by East Sussex County Council. I actually sit on this board, and this is going to be next Thursday as well. So it's a very busy day for me personally. And this is going to be at the Welcome Building in the Devonshire Quarter, Eastbourne. It's free to attend. It's between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. You could probably dip in and out if you wanted to. But the Skills Summit will cover things like future skills. Are we ready? A keynote presentation on this one, panel discussion Q&A, upskilling the workforce and recruitment reimagined. Another keynote presentation. There's quite a lot of stuff they're going to pack into that day. And if you can get along there, I would really recommend it. There will be an email that I'll send out to chamber members later this afternoon with a link there to book a place for that one. And I've been told that places are booking very, very quickly. So if you can get along to that, that would be great. Next Thursday, the 25th of May. And we're running really out of time now. We're coming to the close. But before we close, I want to say a big well done to South Brockwell's Farm, because yesterday they were up at the House of Lords and they won another award. They won the Countryside Alliance Award, the Clarissa Dickinson Wright Award, a national award. So very well done to those guys. I think it's always a pleasure when an Uckfield business wins an award nationally, but they are, of course, our reigning Uckfield Business Award champions anyway. So, we obviously picked right last time round back in 2022 for our business awards last year. So that's all I've got to say, Claire, for now. And we're about to wrap this up, I think, aren't we?
We are indeed. Just one final thing from me, an initiative by Team 4 Bookkeeping and Ashdown Radio. We've jointly got the Uckfield webcam, River webcam back up and running again. So for all the weather watchers and the worriers about the rain, you can now see live on the Ashdown Radio website, the Uckfield River webcam. So if you're worrying about the flooding and so on, you can just log in. It's there live 24 hours a day.
And who's going to be with us next time, Claire? Because I'm on holiday, so it won't be me.
Oh, so me? I'll be here. So yes, we're welcoming Chris Thorne this time. So next time Chris is going to be joining us. We'll be interviewing him, understanding how his long-standing third-generation family business runs, and we're just going to find out all about the pitfalls and the wins and challenges he has in running that business. So that's really exciting. June the 22nd, everybody knows Thorns. They're all over the town, and they do amazing work as well with charity and local support to organisations. So it'd be lovely to hear from them. And the following date from there then is the 20th of July for our next podcast. I'm not sure if we've got anybody booked for that yet. I think we were just talking about it earlier. So we'll get that advertised as soon as we can.
Good. And Chris Dowling will be joining you, won't he, in the chair next time?
In hosting, yeah. Yeah,
because I won't be here. I'll be in Iceland.
Oh, you can still host from there, surely.
That's the country, not the supermarket, guys, in case you're concerned. But yeah, so I will be in Iceland. But look, it's been great today, isn't it? I've really enjoyed chatting, Claire. And Gary.
It's been a bit, our first one, we're all a bit unsure how it was going to work, but that felt good to me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's nice to have some great guests with us as well. And
good. We have to find out how to get a Facebook user change to people's real names. Bit of love for us there. Thank you. Excellent podcast. Thank you, everyone. Can't wait for the next podcast. Bex, thank you, guys.
Thanks,
That's
everyone.
very encouraging. We're very grateful to you. So, so thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.